Gentrification is a more nuanced story that perhaps we often tell. Our advantage, on the other hand, is that we have microdata. So we observe individual people year to year in LA metro station areas. So we know specifically where they move, when they moved, their income, and so forth. We're able to compute the income distribution in each station and year within the half-mile radius of LA metro stations. We're also able to compute the in-out mobility for households across income distributions. Over 75% of households in LA metro stations or near LA metro stations are low income. We divide our households into 7 different income groups. We want to kind of see how the low income groups are impacted and how by the higher income groups. There is some evidence that the share of low income households has decreased in station areas. But again, it depends on what base year we compare years to, and there's also a lot of volatility from year to year. The other things we see is that the out mobility rates were impacted for the very poor and the poor households. It seems that the opening of a station induces households to stay instead of moving out. There's also evidence that the poor and the very poor households displace the extremely poor households. It's the poor households that compete for units in station areas. Again, there is no evidence that upper or higher income households displace lower income households, and in general the opening of rail stations does not impact the mobility of higher income households. Because higher income households are not impacted, and because the competition happens mostly among low income households, that stations are or seem to be locating already in gentrifying areas, or that the incomes of the residents are increasing. It could be that the incomes of households living in metro rail stations are increasing. We can actually directly test that. So that's also left for future work, and then we can also exploit the microdata directly, but that's a more technical note.